Right, welcome to this tactics and showcase video. It's for the Blood Angels, and in this episode we're going to take a look at Assault Terminators. You can take them, I'm going to take them from Blood Angels Codex here, but they're also available for Space Marines as well. So I'll be covering the rules from this codex here, the new codex of Blood Angels, but it will equally apply to regular Space Marines also. A key unit for my Blood Angels, I'm a big fan of them. And so they're a solid unit, but I think they're a unit that needs some help now in 8th edition, not quite as powerful as they used to be. So what we'll do in this video is take a look at the models, and then we'll get into the tactics here. So points, combinations, tips and strategies, other models and units that can enhance and help them out as well, just to cover all the tactics so you can get the most out of this. What I think is a really important unit to take if you're going to run sort of an assault based army like I do here with the Blood Angels. So we'll just zoom in and take a look at the models. So I've got 5 of them here with the Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields. It's still my favourite combination for Assault Terminators, but we'll cover the justification for that as we go along. We'll zoom in here and take a look at these models. So here they are. Now these ones here, Games Workshop have made Assault Terminators now for the Blood Angels, and they look really, really nice. So the ones that I have here came out before that. So these are regular Assault Terminators, regular Space Marine Assault Terminators, and the shoulder pads, this bit here, and then these shoulder pads here as well, are from Forge World, the resin ones that you could get from them. So that's the models that you're looking at here. But I would recommend the new ones that Games Workshop, or the newer version that Games Workshop have produced. They do look really, really cool. Either in this configuration or with the lightning claws. That's that one. There's another one here. These have been on the channel for always from the, well, pretty much from the start here. These Blood Angels Assault Terminators, they have been involved in many, many battles. Pretty much every Blood Angels battle you'll see on the channel, stretching all the way back. Another one. They've lasted well enough. They've not suffered any damage really. This one of my favourites, just marching ahead, hammer at the ready. And then the Sergeant here as well. Again, one of my favourites, really like this one. And his arms magnetised here, so this can move and come off. It's just so I can do the configuration if I want to go for lightning claws. But I think Thunder Hammer's good enough, and it's magnetised just here, like so. That's the shoulder pads you get from Forge World. Not sure if they're still doing them or not, but that's what to expect from them. They are very nice, really good. So that's the models, Unit of 5. We'll take a look at them now in the rules, and this is the new Blood Angels Codex for 8th edition is where we'll be referring to. So recently, especially, some people have been saying, well, drop these, they're too expensive, they're not as effective, but I still... They are an anchor for my Blood Angels army. Solid unit. There's a couple of issues with them. I can see why people are saying drop them, which we'll cover as we go along. So you'll find them in the Elite section. Now, there's a lot more units now for Blood Angels and Space Marines to choose from now with all of the Primaris Space Marines and so on. So you've got more options available, and so these, you know, if you're going to play Assault, it was always referred to, you're always going back to these to use them in, before the Primaris Marines came along. But now Primaris are here, there's other options available. So not as common now, Assault Terminators, but still I think a solid unit to take. So they're power level 11. Terminators movement 5. So this is one of the issues here for them, and that's the speed of these guys. They're not particularly fast, and so if you take the unit by itself on its own, you've got to be careful. 5 inches isn't that quick. They're going to lumber around the battlefield. So ideally for them, they need to turn up and be as close to the main concentration of the opponent's force as possible. So in amongst the opponent is the best option for them. They're durable enough to survive firepower and so on, so their durability is excellent, and ideally you want to get them in there as close as possible. Weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 4. They have 2 wounds now. Used to have 1 wound, it's 2 wounds. So it is really good. They're able to absorb a lot of damage, especially from small arms fire. You know, like lasgun, bolter fire, annoying wounds that come through. If you roll a 1, you're just going to take a wound now for each of the models, so a lot more durability in that respect. Leadership 8, and then a 2-up save as well. It's a nice dependable armor save for these. You can take a unit of 4, a unit of 5, and that includes the sergeant, who gets extra leadership 9, which for 8th edition is very, very good. 3 attacks for him as well, which again is excellent, and the rest of the stats are the same. You can take another 5, so you can go for unit 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 10 if you wanted a big unit of them. I'd say I find these okay at that size, but bigger unit would be helpful. They are expensive though, so Assault Terminators, or Terminator Assault Squad, 26 points, that's your starting cost. So they come with 2 lightning claws. There's your standard loadout here, which you start with in the codex. So single or a pair, so it's 12 points for the pair, 26, 28, 38 points, so 380 points for unit of 10 of them, which for the it's pretty good. You know, Storm Raven's about 380 points, a Storm Raven on 10 Terminators, 10 of them's pretty solid. So the Lightning Claw then, it's strength for the user, strength 4, AP -2 and 1 damage. You can reroll for wound rolls for this weapon. If the model is armed with 2 Lightning Claws, you get an extra attack. So 2 attacks becomes 3 attacks. Unit of 10, 30 attacks, 31 attacks with the sergeant, which is alright. So it's helpful for mashing through infantry. My preference is to take something that's better at hacking through monsters, characters, vehicles, for smashing them to bits is, I find, best. And so I go for the Thunderhammer option. So the Thunderhammer on other models is 16 points. So you're paying an extra 4 points to take 1 Thunderhammer over and above 2 Lightning Claws. And on top of that, you then have to take the Storm Shield as well. So it comes as a combination. Thunderhammer and Storm Shield. Storm Shield's 5 points, I believe. For other models, yeah, for characters it's 15, and it's 5 points for other models. Yeah, so the total then would be 47 points for the Thunderhammer Storm Shield combination. Now, there's a lot, it's a lot of points. So unit of 5 is 235 points. They've always been around 210 points, whatever edition and whatever codex it's been. So they're still generally the same points costs they've been. So the issue then for these, so Thunderhammer then, times 2 strength, so fighting at strength 8, that's very, very helpful against vehicles, and very reliable if you're going to go into a character or something. The toughness 4, you need 2s to wound with that. AP -3, and then it's a straight 3 damage, which is nice solid damage coming through. One of the downsides is when attacking with this weapon you must subtract 1 from the hit roll, so you're going to be hitting on 4s in close combat, which knocks their effectiveness down. So let's say 11 attacks, and even 4s, you're going to get like 5 or 6 hits on average, which is okay. Then let's say you got 6 hits, then it's 3s to wound a vehicle. You take off a couple of misses or a couple of failures to wound. Let's say 3 of them get through. Your opponent saves 1. All of a sudden, these guys used to kill vehicles outright most of the time. So, you know, striking rear armor in 7th edition, 3 hull points to get through is quite straightforward for them. But now, not as easy as it was. But still, they're still pretty good. But they can be enhanced, as we'll see. So you can go into combat squads. If you take 10 of them, you can split them down to units of 5. Teleport strikes, that helps solve the issue of movement and slowness. And instead of deployment in your deployment zone, you can now, with Terminators, you can keep them off the board, bring them in as reserves. With the FAQ now, it's changed. So turn 1, if you bring them in, they've got to come in your deployment zone. I believe that's the way it works. And then turn 2 onwards, turn 2 or turn 3, they can turn up as usual anywhere you want, as long as they're 9 inches away. So that's helpful. That's the cheapest option for getting them up the table, is just to teleport them in, and you can save yourself on transport there. So there's another rule here. If this unit has a teleport homer, Place it anywhere on your deployment zone when your army deploys. If an enemy model is within 9 inches of the teleport homer, it is deactivated and removed from the battlefield. Whilst there are friendly Blood Angels teleport homers on the battlefield, this unit can perform an emergency teleport instead of moving it in the movement phase. At the end of the movement phase, remove this unit and then set it up with all models within 6 inches of the Blood Angels teleport homer. That teleport homer is then removed from the battlefield. It's a bit of extra flexibility and options there with the teleport homer. So issue then is speed, and then reliability and hitting in combat. This is with the Assault Terminator Thunderhammer Storm Shield option. Because I think that the damage is there, the strength's there, the AP -3 is strong, and then the solid 3 damage at a time. If you can just get those hits coming through, then anything's going to be in trouble. You should be able to smash your way through a vehicle pretty good. You're looking for at least 4 of those to get through, to get past the hitting stage, wounding, opponent to fail his saves, and then that damage to transfer through. Because 4 of them getting through is 12 wounds, and most vehicles will die if they take that much damage. So to enhance them, and what I'm running in my list currently is a couple of enhancements that I take. The first thing is transport. Now I don't just take this for its transport ability, but also for its firepower. That's a Storm Raven gunship, which we'll cover in another episode. But the Storm Raven gunship there, lots of heavy firepower, and then 14 wounds on this thing. It's toughness 7, 3 up saves, nice strong tough flyer, and then for transport, it can transport 12 Blood Angels infantry models and 1 Blood Angels dreadnought. Each jump pack of Terminator models takes the place of 2 other models. So you've got space for 12 or 6 Terminators. So it's going to limit the size of the unit you can go for. I take 5. That takes up 10 slots. That leaves 2 slots spare for my helpful characters combination with this unit, which we'll cover in just a moment. So that's the loadout that I do. Storm Raven gunship with Terminators inside. It's a combination that's been around for a long time, but I like it. Firepower and then manoeuvrability for these guys. The downside of it is if the Storm Raven gets shot up and destroyed, especially like turn 1, you've got it on the board ready, your opponent destroys it, the Terminators end up being stuck in their own deployment zone, and then it is a case of them walking around. Yeah, well, hang on a second. I'm just thinking of something. If you know that if you use this, then there's an opportunity to talk about a bit of tactics in the comments section. And if you're watching this, just have a look down to see if anyone's passed comment here. Yeah, so what I'm thinking is, if this unit has a teleport homer, so it's 0 points, doesn't cost anything, you take the teleport homer, you place it in your deployment zone when you deploy, and then all you got to do is keep an enemy unit away from it. If they get within 9, it's removed and gone. So you've got to keep the opponent away from it. Whilst there are friendly Blood Angels teleport homers on the battlefield, this unit can perform an emergency teleport instead of moving in its movement phase. At the end of the movement phase, remove this unit and then set it up so all models within 6 of a friendly Blood Angels teleport homer, and then it's removed from the battlefield. So what I'm thinking here, just by all means discuss this in the comment section. Say you've got your Terminators in your Storm Raven gunship. Say this is the battlefield here, Storm Raven gunship, and you've tucked it. What I would do is hide it somewhere in a corner, right in the back line, just to keep it out of range of the nasty firepower your opponent might have. So say it's here, Terminators are inside. What you could do, as a backup plan, say your deployment zone is, say, Hammer and Anvil, you could put your, your deployment zone would end here, you could put your teleport homer there. Then say you are shot up, your unit is destroyed, or the transport's destroyed, the Storm Raven's gone, Terminators are here, you then come to your turn, say it's your first turn, you can then remove them from play, set them up within 6, you could go beyond that by 6 inches, and you at least get them a lot further ahead than they would have been. Interesting. Like a bit of a backup plan there, with that teleport homer. And you can also use it sort of just to keep your opponent guessing as to what you might do with it, but a little bit of a backup plan there. Storm Raven, you could teleport homer nearby, and then if the worst happens and they're stranded, you can at least move them up a good chunk of the table, at least save a whole turn's worth of movement and advancing just by doing that little trick. And it's free of charge to take the teleport homer, so that's Interesting, very interesting. That might be a little tactic. Maybe you use that. Maybe there's other ways that you use your teleport Homer. So by all means, leave that in the comments section. So we've talked about the Storm Raven gunship. The other help that I give them, I would highly recommend this, is to either take the Sanguinary Novitiate or the Sanguinary Priest, just here. The Novitiate is an elite's choice and is cheaper, but the power in it's the same as we'll cover in just a moment. And then you're looking for the Sanguinary Priest. I usually run a Sanguinary Priest, but sometimes it's the Novitiate. So, not going to cover all the rules for him, but basically, the bonus you get for the Sanguinary Priest, a better stat line. He also gets Blood Chalice. For any Blood Angels infantry units within 6 inches, get +1 strength. So strength goes to strength 5. I think you then times it by 2, so you'll be fighting at strength 10. If not, it's strength 9. But that can help, you know, fighting against, say, Astra Militarum, Lean Rust tanks. You can then be striking them at strength 9 or strength 10. Then the other power is the Narfecium. I think it's pretty helpful, and it's not just for these. I use it for my characters as well. At the end of your movement, any of your movement phases, the Sanguinary Priest can attempt to heal or revive a single model. Select a friendly Blood Angels infantry or biker unit within 3 inches. You've got to keep him nearby, so I usually keep him in with the Storm Raven transport. They all get out together. If the unit contains a wounded model, it immediately regains D3 lost wounds. See, these guys that are carrying the 2 wounds now, so if one of them is wounded, he can automatically restore that wound. Basically, it's D3. If the chosen unit contains no wounded models, but one or more of its models has been slain, roll a D6. On a 4+, a single slain model is returned to the unit. So you can actually, because they're 50 points a time, 47 points a time, there's a half a chance you're going to bring one of them back. And that's a nice lot of points added back to your army, and a unit strengthened as well. If he fails, it's returned with 1 wound remaining, so you get the Terminator back, and you can later on heal him again on consecutive turns. So I've done it a few times. In some games, I've restored a Terminator, recovered a wound, and then I've healed one of my main characters, brought him back up to strength as well, and sent him back out to the fight. So he's helpful middle towards the end of a game for doing that. There's half a chance sometimes you might want to command reroll it just to try and make the best use of that ability, but it's alright. I've found it's pretty helpful. If he fails, he has to stand still. You can't do anything else the rest of the turn, but that's one of the helps that I go for. The other one, which I think is even more helpful really, and that's the Chaplain, just a standard Space Marine Chaplain. So Sanguinary Priest, by the way, is he's here. It's about 55 points. Novitiate's cheaper, and the Chaplain here you're going to be paying about 72 points. These characters you can add in, they're not costing you too much, and it bulks out your army. You've got a few more attacks of him, another person that can throw a grenade, which is helpful enough. Crack grenades nasty enough. Then another character that can throw grenades and fight in combat pretty good as well. And that's the Chaplain as well. So I mean, he's armed pretty good. The Craziest Arcanum is okay. So he comes with spiritual leaders, which all units within 6 use his leadership, which is 9. The unit's 9 anyway, so it doesn't really help too much. But Litanies of Hate is the big thing for these. You can reroll failed hit rolls in the fight phase for any Blood Angels units within 6 of this model. So again, keeping them together. So all of that will fill out the Storm Raven gunship. That's your 10, 11, 12 slots used up. But he grants rerolls. So now you've got these 11 attacks. Say you get 5 or 6 hits, and then your misses, you can reroll them. All of a sudden you go from 5 or 6 hits up to about 9 hits. And then you're in the zone where you're wiping out vehicles in just 1 round of combat. So he soon pays for his points very, very quickly indeed. The key is keeping them nearby though, so you've got to keep your charge distances and so on lined up rightly so that these can be kept within the right distance. But 6 inches is quite generous for this. It's not 3 inches, but 6 is quite a stretch. So that's helpful enough if he doesn't make the charge. If they go in, 6 inches is quite a good distance anyway. So that's the enhancement for them. I found this combination is pretty solid. The key is delivery though, so I usually hold the Storm Raven gunship back, try and keep it out of range, and if I go first, then I can move it straight up. If I go second, I think aims not to take too much damage, and then steam up the table, get it into position, ready for these guys to deploy and strike. If they have moved up right near the opponent's deployment zone, and then it is destroyed, it sort of accomplished its mission by getting them up the table, and then on foot they can move around, charging into different targets. Shouldn't be a problem. But I think that's solid enough there. 2 wounds each, 3 up in Vun save, and the ability to repair, extra reliability in combat. So I think that's a nice combination. It's classic Blood Angels, and it's classic for sort of the list that I'm running as well. So I think that's about it. I mean, other options that people can take is captains and lieutenants for your reroll 1s in combat, which is not as good as him. He's a cheaper option. That's reroll hits, which I've found helpful. But you can have reroll 1s. Lieutenants for your rerolling your wounds. That's another option you can take. But I've preferred this. I think this is more reliable. It's cheaper and more reliable fitting in combat, and the ability here to recover lost models and heal wounds on this unit and anyone else that's nearby, I just think it's helpful. And again, cheap as well. The model's one of my favourite models in 40k. Beautiful model, that one. Really, really nice for that plastic sanguinary priest. So that's the unit and the combination I've gone for. By all means, in the comments section, if Blood Angels, they always seem to, I don't want to say struggle, but they are a challenging army to use. So share your combat experience, what combinations you go for. We're talking about this unit here, and then any other attachments and bonuses and tactics and strategies that you may use. Then by all means share that in the comments section. So I'm going to line up. I've got my crash test Rhino here, so just to show you, what we'll do is strip away the help for these, and we'll just say that you just have a raw unit of these just as they are, like so, and we'll say they make it into combat here. Now there's still a chance they'll destroy this vehicle. I'm not saying that they won't, but on average they will struggle more by themselves. You know, and if you spend 2 turns destroying something, you've lost a turn where you could be fighting against something else. If you're able to destroy a target and move on, destroy a target, move on, that's more efficient than taking 2 turns a time to try and mash your way through units. So, you know, some cheaper enhancements with these, but makes the points that you've spent more efficient because you're able to smash through one target after the next. And it reduces your opponent's army down as well, which helps you to ultimate victory also. So, just as they are then, is 11 attacks with the sergeant, and you'd need 4s, and that's the kind of problem that we're looking at here. We've missed, this is quite average so far, I've missed with 6, so significant amount of missed. Now, without the chaplain, you'd be looking at 5 hits for a 330 or 235 point unit, and that's where it got a bit disheartening. So take those away. 3's to wound though, she still should do well. It is good. Look, that one's fouled. 4 have got through. There's a save, and because of that save, only 3 have got through, which becomes 9, and that vehicle remains alive. And so you've semi-failed. You've made a right mess of the model, the tank, but sort of failed in the mission there of destroying that target. So that was the issue I was coming up with in games. We'll give it another go here. So again, this is the nightmare situation. This has happened. This is what was happening to me in games. 7 misses in this instance here. You know, it's getting a bit, oh no, what? He's spent out on this super elite unit. It's meant to be killing tanks and just missing with loads of attacks. 3's to wound, disaster again. 6's to save. Oh, it's a double 6 there. And that's happened to me a number of times. 1's got through. 3 wounds, disaster. It's like, oh, why am I taking this unit? They're terrible. So, what we'll do now, I'll leave them where they are, and we'll say that these guys are nearby. He's not going to make a difference in this particular combat, the +1 strength, because he's still going to freeze to wound. So I would say if you just want to do the enhancement of getting models back, then just take the Novitiate. It's a little bit cheaper, and the same Narvekian power, the ability to restore wounds and damage models, and it can help him out, restore wounds on him. I take the Sanguinor as my HQ. I've done it before, I've jumped him over, restored wounds, and he's jumped off to go and fight on later turns, with restored strength. So I still rate them, but if you want to go the cheaper option, take the Sanguinary Novitiate. But anyway, he's there. Whether he's in combat or not, the main focus for him is to be within 6 inches of those. You might find a situation where you have to go something like this to stretch your range and so on, just to play it tactically. But anyway, 11 attacks. So 4s, you've got a situation where you've got some nice hits there, and then 4 have missed. And then it's that ability to re-roll and get your hits. And that's gone exactly like clockwork. You've got back half of your misses. Now all of a sudden, look at the amount of dice that you have. Freeze to wound, there's more wounds coming through. This is how it's meant to be. 6s to try and block them. It's a desperate attempt to try and stay alive. And you've caused 15 wounds in total, and that tank vehicle's destroyed. And for the sake of 72 points, you've made that unit there a lot more reliable. We'll give it another go just to illustrate here. They've all that's just a good rolling re-roll. That's a full house of hits. Freeze to wounds, a bit of an exceptional roll there. And again, this tank's in massive trouble. But you see the reliability that's coming through. No, it's dead again. No problem. They're smashing their way through here. So some more misses this time. And then there it is again. 2 of the misses have been recovered. And again, you've got yourself a helpful amount here. 3s. See a pretty poor roll, but because the amount of hits that you got is helped out. Should still be able to get the kill. 1 save came through, but that's 12, and that's another kill there. I'll do one more round just to illustrate. This is what I wanted to show you. When disaster strikes and you miss with a lot. So without the chaplain, you'd be stuck with that, and it's disheartening. But now I can reroll these 7, and I can chuck in those hits to boost that up. What a boost that is. Freeze to wound, and now this attack is turned from defeat, it's being turned into success now. 6s to block, yeah, smash the tank to pieces. So I think I've illustrated that pretty well there. It's like a clear difference when you have that chaplain nearby. 72 points, absolute bargain for what he does. And so that character can be buried in there and hidden away. You've got to get through these to get to him and so on. But that ability for rerolls is really, really good. It can make the difference between making a complete mess of a charge and just adding that reliability. So even if you roll a disastrous amount of 4+s to start off with, ability to re-roll them, it just means that you're bound to get a pretty decent amount of hits coming through. And the priests nearby, to add durability to them, you start taking some casualties. If these turn up in your opponent's deployment zone, start shooting them, you lose a few models, and then if he rolls well enough, you can start restoring models in. I think it's well worth doing. Just adding a little bit of durability for your force, and again, not too many points to take one of these and add them in. But if you want to save some points, just drop him out, and that's still a good combination just there. So there it is. That's the tactic and showcase then for the Assault Terminators. A unit by itself that's okay, but one of those units that really benefits from enhancements, especially from the chaplain and also the Sanguinary Priest or Sanguinary Novitiate. If you use other combinations, perhaps different unit size and combinations, then by all means share that in the comment section as well. Your own battlefield experience and so on, and then other Blood Angel players, also perhaps people who are new to collecting Blood Angels or considering what units to have, they can read that in the comment section as well. There it is, that's tactics and showcase. If you like the paint scheme on these, then there is the Blood Angels painting tutorial on the channel here, and then there is also now an in-depth painting tutorial on the Plus channel for the Blood Angels as well, and you can follow along step by step, show you all the hints and tips and tricks, show you how to paint a Bow Predator in that video, and so you better follow that along step by step. And then on the Plus channel, army development for the Blood Angels to see the new lists being worked on, and also loads of exclusive battle reports that do feature the Blood Angels as well. But there it is, that's the video. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.